Look at that. Got the Cisco water bottle.
Cisco everything. Cisco bag, Cisco bottle, Cisco everything.
I feel you. Look, I got the Cisco notebook. I mean, Cisco everything too. I got Cisco routers all over my office right now.
Tell me, I've got like a 3760 switch just sat right here on the left, you know.
I even got a public sector Cisco coin.
Oh, nice. Oh, I need one of those.
Hey, is you dropping that, fam? Is you dropping that right
now? Hey, you already know how I go down and you get caught without your challenge coin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, yo, I just started this live stream. What's good, YouTube? It's going down. It's your boy Dewan. Man, I got three of the best network engineers that I know, or what I say, dopest, the coolest, all across the globe. They're just all around amazing people that just share information, help the community, the culture worldwide. We wanted to go live, answer some questions. We got a list of about 8 questions we're going to talk about. But, yo, I'll ramble forever. Let me introduce them. Antonio McCarver, my boy, Kelvin, Network Wiizkiid. What's good?
What's good, family?
I just did an intro like that, and that's all y'all got to say.
I mean, they must know what to say when you killing the intro like that. You know,
yeah, like, we ain't got much to say. You pretty much just set it off for us, you know.
But I'm gonna tell you, I am honored to be on this with you guys. You know, both of you guys have been quiet inspirations for me. Kelvin, this is the first time I actually get a chance to talk to you, so I'm really excited about that. But I've been following both of y'all for a long time, so you know, I'm in the company of greatness right now, and I'm excited.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess I could say the same thing. I mean, until tonight, you know, this is the first time me and yourself are talking, and wow, I didn't even know that you were working with Cisco until we had that conversation earlier, you know.
Right.
And obviously, then we got Dewan, who's been doing his thing from a long time. You know, big inspiration. You know, been supporting him for a long time, and you know, it's movements out here. You know, the lab every day. You know, seeing it from where it started to where it is now, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, absolutely. What in the world was that?
Yo, so I did an interview with David Bumble last week. He just posted it. Shout out to David Bumble. When I post this video, repost it or whatever, everybody go check it out. Shout him out. Kelvin, he's a security solutions engineer? Cisco.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel. Go check out his YouTube channel. It's dope, very informational. You actually just did a CCNA security walkthrough for Hardening a Cisco switch, right?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, over the last few days, I think I've done one in regards to GNS3 and EVE-NG, how you can integrate those two them two networks and simulators together. And yesterday I published a CCNA security lab based on securing layer 2 switches. So there's a lot of things in there in regards to private VLANs. You know, you've got what else have you got in there? You've got VLAN segmentation. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. I think the video is about two hours long. You know, so yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, it's loaded. Like I said, Kelvin's channel is linked in the description right now. So if you're watching this video, check the description. Go follow him. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers. Honestly, I want him to pass me because he put out a lot of great information. He the man.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem, fam. And then, you know, we got the homie, Antonio McCarver. The introduction is not needed, but I'm going to go ahead and let him, you know, talk about it. He's another. What's your actual title, bro? I know you do VoIP and all that.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you first and foremost. And yes, everybody, please go subscribe to Kelvin's channel. A lot of dope content. But let's see, my title just changed recently. I'm a services consulting engineer, and my particular space is collaboration. So voice and video over IP. But I am working on my CCIE security. And actually, that's how I came across Kelvin's YouTube page doing the search for CCIE security. He was the only one with some relevant information.
Well, I guess we're on the same track now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are Cisco network engineers. I mentioned David Bumble because during the David Bumble interview, I announced my new position. For the last 3 years, I was a system administrator. It was kind of awkward being on YouTube talking about Cisco, but it's sysadmin. But I was patiently waiting on that right opportunity. So in that video, I announced that I am now a network engineer also. So that's pretty cool.
Congrats, bro. And it was killing me to hold that news. Congrats.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like I was looking on the Twitter and people waiting for the information. I'm like, yo, what's the one up to? Like, I didn't want to press for the information, so I thought I'd wait. Then I seen the video from David. I thought, all right, let me check this out. I skipped right to the part where you did your announcement. Oh, like, yeah, that's it, man. That's where it's at. You know.
Yeah, thanks, fam. It's been a long time coming. You know, I turned down a dope position down in San Francisco, and that would have been everything. But, you know, it wasn't the right move for my family. But, you know, patience and a lot of faith and working diligently at your goal, labbing every day. Shout out to the squad. You know, it pays off.
Most definitely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we got a list of 8 questions that we're going to go through. Shout out to the community, everybody that's tuned in. The first thing we're going to, if you can share this link out, if you have not already, we want to get as many people on as possible so we can answer as many relevant questions that you may have, but also, you know, just have a good conversation. So, like I said, we got a list of 8 questions that we're going to go through, and then at the end, we'll take questions from everybody that's tuned in. Shout out to Tony E. He's doing that 100-day lab challenge. Shout out to you, fam. You getting it in. Getting it in. He doing this thing. So check out Tony E's channel. He's doing this thing. Support him because it's hard to lab every day, let alone challenge yourself to consistently post and help other people. So salute. Shout out to yes, sir. Shout out to Daria Footman, Tiffany, the whole Lab Everyday family. Now, the first question I want to talk about is how to become a network engineer. Which one of you want to answer that first?
Well, I hate to do this, but since you just did it, how about we start with you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably a good point.
You're going to put me on the spot. All right. I guess from my point of view, how to become a network engineer is define yourself as what you want to be. Lay out the plan and then surround yourself with people that's already doing it. Surround yourself with people that's already doing it. Ask them questions and then work on your plan, whether that be getting your CCNA, whether it be going to college, regardless of what you want to do. Start working on it, being consistent at that, you know, finding a job that's going to help you grow to that, whether it's a desktop support position that's going to help you touch switches and routers, or if it's working at your church and you working on their Wi-Fi, do something that's going to help you learn networking in some type of capacity. And then, like if you're in college, like if you're in Cisco Netacad, be a lab technician, help other people learn it, because that's going to help you retain information. And then don't give up. Don't give up, you know, because this it's a journey. You know, I'm working with a guy now that's 19 and he's a network engineer. You know, me, I'm 36. I'm 36 and I'm just getting there. That's my journey, but that's his journey. You feel me?
Never too late. Never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late. So that's just my quick synopsis. I'm gonna pass it out to one of y'all.
I'll jump in then. You know, I'm gonna piggyback on everything that you just said because it's spot on. One of the things that I did was when I decided that I wanted to be a network engineer, I went and looked at what the requirements were. I went to, back then it was monster.com. So I went to Monster and I looked at what people was asking for, and then I set out to learn each and every one of those things. Each and every one of those things, and put myself in a position to where if I could just get a phone call from a recruiter, from an HR department or something, I can at least, you know, get the sit down. Once in the sit down, you know, it was all about how was I going to let them see the value in bringing me onto their team.
Dope. Hey, and you're a valuable individual. So shout out to you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess really for me, at the time, it was really trying to find something that I was good at. So for me, it was, I found, you know, IT being the domain in what I was good at. I didn't really at the time know what network engineering was. I didn't really know what sort of different jobs there was in IT. All I knew is that I wanted to do something with IT. So for me, I thought, okay, let me take a step back and see how best I can acquire the knowledge to get a job within the IT industry. So what I did was go to university. I got my degree, and it was only as I was going through my degree that I realized, okay, this network engineering thing is kind of where I want to be at. Like, because I'll tell you now, before I started university, I didn't know what Cisco was. I didn't know who Cisco was, you know, so all the switches, the routers, like, to me, that was all new. By the end of my degree, I'd been working for 3 years on Cisco equipment, and I knew that was where I wanted to be. And being an IT engineer or a network engineer, it didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So even before I finished university, I interviewed for Cisco Meraki. It was in London, and I live 3 hours on the train from London. And I had no idea how I would even, be able to take this job if they offered me it. But at the time, I just thought any experience is good experience. I sat the interviews just to see if I were technically capable of actually passing these interviews. And, I got through to various stages. And thankfully, and I say thankfully, because if I got offered the job, I actually didn't know I would take the job. They turned me down on like the 4th one. So, I kind of knew my technical abilities was there as I was about to finish university. It was just actually getting a job after I finished university. So for me, I then finished university and I took a job as a security engineer. And I guess things just went there. It just went on from there for me. Now I'm at Cisco, and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't blame you, fam. So is it safe to say that it's a grind?
Oh yeah, without question. I mean, it's a journey, and you're going to learn a lot on the journey. And real quick, true story. I was a Microsoft guy when I got hired to do Cisco stuff, and I was reading the CCNA study guide at the time, and I'm literally having a phone interview, and I'm flipping through the book, right before the interview, trying to catch up on stuff. I mean, it had been years since I touched the router. I touched the router in the Marine Corps. I got out, I was all Microsoft. So, but I was hungry enough to where I wasn't going to let that stop me from getting that job.
Yeah, that's what's up. Dope. I appreciate y'all sharing. Now, number 2, the second question that we have is, what is it like to be a network engineer? But see, y'all answer gonna be a lot cooler than mine because y'all work for Cisco. So this is gonna be interesting.
All right, I guess I can take that one first. So I think for me, I really enjoy my job. I think one of the fundamental things that you need to be is you need to be passionate about what you do. If you're not passionate, then you're probably going to struggle to do your job, to learn new technologies, to continue learning. So you really need to be passionate. I think for me, working for Cisco, I've been working for Cisco approximately 2 years now. And, in my time there, every day is different. In this year alone, I've got to travel the globe. I've been to Singapore, I've been over the pond to you guys, to the US. I've traveled within the UK. I've got to do a lot of fun things, standing up data centers. Even though my domain is security, most of the Cisco security solutions are actually deployed in a data center. Yeah, so you might think that, okay, I'm just going to focus on security certifications and not really worry about data center, ACI, all the rest of it. But in essence, you really need to know data center and routing and switching and pretty much everything else in the book, because you're going to be doing it. There's going to be a time where you need to know how your products interconnect and function with other devices. So yeah, I mean, for me, in a nutshell, Cisco is the place to be. If you want to be a successful engineer, if you want to continue with the educational side of things, getting your certifications. I mean, there's a whole wealth of knowledge within Cisco. There's a lot of great people, a lot of highly qualified people. You know, some of the best engineers in the world work for Cisco. So for me, it's definitely the place to be.
Yo, and speaking of which, Kelvin, if you all are on Instagram, follow this man's Instagram, because he be, when he say he go to Singapore, he really be in Singapore getting it in. Like Cisco be sitting at, he was in New York. I'm like, yo, I'm sitting
everywhere.
here. I'm sitting here downtown, like, man, what am I doing with my life?
I mean, I guess one more thing I can mention about that is, you know, Cisco give you a good work-life balance. You know, you might be going out to different countries to work, but you're not required to work every single day that you're out there. You know, if you're out there for, say, 2 weeks, you're still going to take those 2 days off that you would if you were back in your home country. So Cisco give you that flexibility whereby you can actually go out and explore that country that you're in. So yeah, when you go follow my Instagram, it might look like that I'm on holiday, enjoying myself, but I'm still working.
Big misconception too about working from home with Cisco. People just automatically assume that, oh, you ain't doing the work, but
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Hey, that's funny. But what's up, Tone? Tell them what it's like.
So I think it really depends on the position that you have. When I started as a network engineer, I was at Verizon Business. Well, it was called WorldCom at the time. And I worked in the network operations center. And we had thousands of customers. And it was ridiculous because we were they are a service provider. So every day was something different. And like Kelvin said, you had to know so many different technologies and vendors. So I got a chance to learn the whole technology stack from Cisco, but also Aruba Wireless, Juniper Networking, and Nortel Voice, and Nortel Routing and Switching, and Avaya, and all of that. So every day was something new and something different. And I was young enough to, you know, to really get in there and get busy. But now, you know, being an old man and an OG out here, you know, it's a little bit different. My days now are, you know, I deal with particular customers. As we focus more on the consulting side of what I do now. So as a consulting engineer, you know, my job really is a lot of meeting with my clients, interfacing with their X-level executives or their C-level executives, and, you know, taking what they want to do with business and how can we help them with technology get there. And, you know, sometimes I still have to get in there, bang on the keyboard and troubleshoot some stuff, and, you know, call my buddies over at TAC and yell at them and all that other good stuff.
Hey, speaking of TAC, that Cisco Analyzer, that CLI Analyzer is a beast. Y'all use that working for Cisco?
I use any and everything that we have, man. But again, I'm a voice guy, so I'm really, you know, focused on voice. You know, a lot of tools that we get from the SIP master of the universe, Paul Giroux. You know, I use a lot of his tools.
Okay.
And I just want to kind of elaborate on what Antonio said there about, you know, just you kind of got across the point that it's not all about just configuring devices, troubleshooting devices, and just working on devices. You know, working for Cisco and what we get, what those guys do. I mean, I'm a consultant as well for Cisco, so my job title is actually Security Solutions Consulting Engineer. So, you know, you can see there I've got the engineering side in there, but also the consultancy side. So there's more business related tasks in there as well. You know, it's not just, every day I'm on a device configuring. You know, you're going out there and you're meeting with customers, you're in a customer facing role, you sat down with the stakeholders, trying to speak with them and find out what it is that the business is trying to achieve. You're then going away and you're creating throughout the whole process of pretty much my job is plan, and then once we've planned, we then go away we then, you know, end up deploying, implementing the solution at the end of it. But throughout the whole stage, it's documentation based. So we're always writing documents all the way through. So, it's not all fun and games where you're configuring. There's times where you sat down maybe 6 hours a day and you're writing a long document for the customer that needs to be, reviewed next week by the customer. And, and there'll be days where you don't even touch a device. There might be weeks where you don't even touch a device. So, people need to kind of understand that, yes, as much as you like the technology and being hands-on, you need to kind of realize that at the end of the day, it's a business. You're trying to find out what the business needs, and with that comes documentation. And being in a customer-facing role, you need to speak to these people.
Right, absolutely, man. And there's times when, like now, I've been literally in the lab, labbing up stuff for a customer.
Right.
So, and it's days on end of creating that documentation that Kelvin's talking about. And I mean, we talk about hours because the documentation is a living, breathing document that once I give it to them and I walk away, they need to be able to manage and keep and optimize and do everything they need to do with that network once, I go into the next situation.
Yes, straight up. Now, I know for me, being a network engineer, it's a lot of attention to detail and working with the ISP or the vendor to make sure you're giving them the proper solution and following up and documenting and working with the different teams to make sure that you're not overlooking something or implementing the wrong solution. Because I stand up a lot of sites in my position, and standing up those different sites, you got to make sure that you have those configs right, of course. And then also you're troubleshooting and working with the ISPs to make sure that they got everything on their end before you actually, because bringing up a site remotely, I don't know if you ever done that, but if you don't test out that circuit before you actually stand it up, man, that could be all bad.
Man, I've been yeah, I think you're definitely right. I mean, for instance, I was in Singapore a few months ago, and we stand up data centers, and then we walk away with the intention to be able to access that network remotely to finish off and implement everything else we need. So we need to make sure that the configurations are all in place so that when we leave Singapore, and bearing in mind I'm 8 hours flight away from Singapore, we need to make sure that we're able to then access those devices and continue with the configurations and continue with everything else that's necessary to actually make sure that this network's ready. And if we walk away then from that network, and we find out once we get back to the UK, or the couple of guys from the US with me, if they get back to the US, and then we find out we can't access these devices remotely, we've done our job wrong.
That's all bad. That's all bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, ain't nothing good about that.
Yes, sir. Cool. Cool. Now, for me, I would say, to piggyback kind of off of what y'all was saying, the documentation portion is very important, because I know when I go and do something, I always document it, because if I ever had to repeat that process, I don't want to have to go through all the work of trying to figure out what I did. And then if somebody come behind me, I want to be like, yo, this is what I did, blah, blah, blah. And it save everybody time and it help everybody out. Right. That's just me.
And real quick, for the community out there, for the guys that are thinking like, well, I don't have that I'm not in that environment, or I don't have that experience yet. Do it in your lab.
Facts.
Create the document in your lab. Blow your lab away, rebuild it off your documentation. Don't go off of memory and all of that. Read it line by line. And then, when you get asked, well, have you created documents before? You can legitimately be honest and say, I haven't done it for, a Fortune 500 company, but I've created documents on how to upgrade Cisco routers, or how to bring a new site into an MPLS network, or how to upgrade Call Manager. You have that, and then you can walk them through the steps of how you did it in the lab.
You can print it off and take it into your interview along with your resume.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. That also goes to say for, the actual equipment as well. If you've got the opportunity, or you've got a lab that you've got access to where you can actually lab up what you're implementing, and maybe you've not done it before, so you're a little bit hesitant on actually implementing something, go away in your lab, spin up an ASA or whatever it is, try out the configurations first, make sure it works, or just make sure you're familiar with it, and then you can come back to that and say, okay, yeah, now I know, I've at least got a little bit more confidence in what I'm doing, and even me as a Cisco engineer, you know, I've got access to a lab, you know, my own lab, or whether that be a Cisco lab. And, you know, sometimes I'll go away and as a kind of like proof of concept, I'll spin up a lab environment. I'll make sure what I'm trying to implement works first in the way it should work before going back and implementing it on a customer network.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, you mentioned something that's pretty dope. I don't think people caught that, but you mentioned confidence. Yo, confidence is something that you need in this field. Whether you know it or not, you need to build confidence in yourself to know that even though I don't know it, I can learn it and I can do it. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be time where you're going to feel overwhelmed and it's just going to be too much. And if you're the person that's nervous, scared, back down, don't want to do it because you fear breaking it or failing, then somebody else is going to step up and bypass you, and you're never going to get to where you want to be.
Right. And just to piggyback off of that real quick, with regard to confidence, you may not have experience in that exact thing, but you have experience in something that required you to overcome some type of challenge. And there's no shame in saying, well, I've never done that. However, I was faced with the challenge that required me to think outside the box and do blah, 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 blah. And this is how I came to a positive outcome and solution for myself and others. And that shows the people interviewing you like, okay, they may not know this, but they can rationally think on how to get to a particular end.
Right. Cool. All right. So number 3 on the list is, what skills do you need to become a network engineer? It's many. Not just technical. Is that what you're saying, Kelvin?
Yeah, it's the technical aspect is a huge part of, you know, what we do. But, you know, you could even break down the technical aspects even further, you know, from troubleshooting skills to having technical writing skills. You know, the whole wealth of technical skills that you can have. But, you know, going back to what I was saying earlier, I mean, especially if you're in the field of, you know, what me and Antonio do, you know, we're in front of customers, you know, we're in front of, you know, big customers that are paying a lot of money. You know, so it's not only the technical skills that you need, you also need to have like the presentation skills, the punctual skills, the organizational skills. You need to be, you know, one step ahead of your customers sometimes. You need to, you know, sometimes you need to be able to walk in front of your customer and you already know, you know, more about their company than they do. You know what the next plans are, where they're trying to get to from now to, you know, say 2 years later. You know, so a lot of people kind of, you know, go through university or they get these certifications and they think, right, okay, I've got the certs, you know, I'm technically qualified, or, you know, I've got the ability to do this because, you know, I can show that I'm technical. But there's a lot more than just being technical. You know, there's a lot more. Like I say, it comes back to the organization, you know, skills and, you know, all the rest of that.
Yeah,
it's massive.
Facts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're 100% right with that, Kelvin. And, you know, I call them soft skills. You got to have those soft skills. One of the things I would also add to what you said was that you have to be a great listener. You know, you have to be able to take the time to stop, take a step back, listen to what the problem is, because a lot of times customers don't know what their problem is. They're frustrated. They are calling the knock, or they're calling you as the consultant or you as the engineer that's going to do the implementation, and they're saying one thing because they don't know what they should really be saying. But you have to listen to what they're really saying, and then you know, you have to be very good at deductive reasoning. You have to be able to look at a problem, or not even a problem just yet. You have to look at a situation and then think 2 or 3 steps ahead and say, okay, well, you know, if we do this, if we go down this path, these are the roadblocks that we can face, or these are the milestones we're going to hit. So you have to be very good at listening, very good at deductive reasoning, or logical reasoning, or analytical reasoning. And, you know, most of all, I think you have to be hungry and passionate, because it takes a lot of work to grab, and I don't have one handy, to grab these big ass Cisco books and read it, or to watch a 6-hour video.
Books everywhere.
Right. I have a bazillion of them, and it's like, you know, y'all can see. I don't even need to say it. You know how tough it is.
Yeah.
So you have to be determined, man.
Hey, fam. You mentioned something about the reacting. And one of the like my first day on the job, I realized something about senior network engineers and people that are new to networking. Senior network engineers respond. A new network engineer reacts.
That's huge. That's huge. That's huge.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's an outage and they feel like they got to do something. A senior network engineer is going to step back and look at the big picture to know, look, okay, there was a change or something. They're going to think about the whole situation before they even react.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, you know, especially when I first got on the job, I was definitely the more reacting. You know, I was like, right, there's a problem. Let me jump in here. I can do it. You know, let me investigate. But then I realized, you know, the more senior guys I was working with, you know, they took a step back. They analyzed the problem. What could have potentially caused the problem? Has there been any changes in the network? And there were a whole bunch of things that they did before they actually started getting on the device and trying to fix it. You know, so I'm now that guy. You know, I'll take a step back and maybe before I respond to an email, you know, if a customer sends me an email and says, you know, we've got an issue. When I first started, I'd be sending an email back straight away, not really thinking about all the possible scenarios. But now I take a step back and I think about everything that could potentially go wrong and maybe further ask questions before trying to fix the problem. You know, so I think that's a really important point that you raised there, everyone.
Yeah, man, and I was that guy too. That, you know, I wanted to run down the hill and dance with all the cows instead of walk. I mean, you know, dance with one of the cows instead of walk down and dance with them all. So, you know, I had to learn to, you know what, let me take a step back again. Let me ask a couple of questions and, you know, let me map this out. But both of y'all just hit on something that I think is very valuable, and that is to learn from the senior people. Right. And thank God I was in a position where I had some really sharp senior folks that wasn't trying to do everything themselves. That was really about mentoring. So I was able to watch them and learn and be like, okay, yeah, I can rock with that.
Yeah, and that's actually got a skill that you actually need though. Not only to be able to go in and do the job and have confidence in yourself, but patience to learn and the willingness to learn from someone else. Because,
you know, oh, my bad.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
No, you got it, bro. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you just hit on something else, patience. You know, when I started at Cisco almost 7 years ago, literally I did nothing for 6 months. And I wanted to jump right in day one and prove my worth and be like, yo, but my manager set me down and was like, yo, take your time. Just, you know, you're going to be drinking from a water hole soon enough. Meet some folks, go talk to some people, come to the office, make some friends, but don't do anything for 6 months except just get comfortable with being at Cisco. Now, for me, that was foreign. That was like, wait a minute, you want me to go to work every day and do nothing? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And that was a huge challenge, though.
Yeah. And that I mean, that was the exact same thing for me. You know, I was fresh with my certifications and I'm working for Cisco, the company that I've always, you know, wanted to work for. And then I get to my department and my manager's like, okay, get comfortable, get to know how the processes and the systems work. And, you know, not really do anything. And I felt as if I were doing something wrong because I wasn't really doing anything. I'm sat there twiddling my thumbs thinking, well, you know, I need to be jumping in, I need to be doing stuff. But, you know, that's not always the case. You know, you need to take a step back and you need to realize that, I mean, even starting with a big company like Cisco, there's a lot of processes in place you first need to get used to before you start jumping in to, you know, just trying to get on people's networks and configure things. You know, you work for Cisco because, you know, you must have something about you. You know, you're technically capable. You know, you've got all the skills that Cisco wants. So that's why you're working for Cisco. So stop trying to jump in head first and prove yourself. That time's going to come naturally, you know, as you progress through your
career. Yeah, hey, you don't have to prove yourself to nobody. If you are comfortable in your own skin, everything that you do is going to be evidence of who you are. You don't have to prove yourself to nobody. That's something I learned a long time ago. So, all right. Number 4 on the list. This is for y'all because I know nothing about this. All All right. So everybody listen up. Like I said before, Antonio and Kelvin both work for Cisco. So this question is specifically for them. How do you get hired by Cisco?
Kelvin, if you don't mind, bro, I want you to take that first because I had a way different journey than most people.
Can you just repeat? I think mine cracked up a little bit then.
All right. Yeah. So my question was, how do you get hired by Cisco, Kelvin?
Right. Okay. Where do I start? So I guess for me, it's not really the typical way that you would get hired by Cisco. My journey started with Cisco as what we call a red badge. So a red badge is typically a contractor that works on behalf of Cisco, but not directly for Cisco. So I was working, as I said previously, and if you watch my other videos with Joanne, with the interviews, when I finished university, I worked as a security engineer. And I seen a position, not directly for Cisco, but as I was working for this other company, I seen a position that mentioned Cisco. And as soon as it mentioned Cisco, I was like, I'm applying. I want this job. And I always remember the job description. And it said at the end of the job description, you've got the intention after 6 months to join Cisco. I was like, whoa, that's me. I'm in there. If this is my way in, I'm doing it, So I applied for this position as a red badge, so as a contractor, and the intention was to train on Cisco's security product portfolio for 6 months. And then after that, I would then join Cisco as a permanent member of staff as a network consulting engineer. So towards the end of the 6 months, it didn't really work out. Cisco got rid of a lot of contractors, and my group was a set of those contractors. However, for me, it kind of worked out quite well because they brought me back in as a permanent member of staff straight away. I had to go to Krakow. So I had to go live in Poland for 6 months and do some more training on Cisco's product portfolio, the security products, and then return back to the UK where I'd then carry out my original job role. So my route into Cisco approximately took a year before I actually started doing what I was supposed to be doing. And then the past year, I've been working basically as a security consulting engineer and doing my entry into Cisco has been totally different. What I would say is, if you're looking for a position with Cisco, do check out their website. They're constantly posting jobs. If you're fresh out of university, Cisco posts a lot of graduate positions. There's no age restrictions. You do have to have a degree, not necessarily any certifications. You just need to prove that you're capable of doing certifications, to perform your job role. If you haven't been to university, I think, to be honest, most of the jobs that I've seen on the Cisco website, they do require that you have, minimum CCNA, for the sorts of jobs that, I'm doing now and Antonio's doing as well. But, definitely check out the website and see what jobs I've got on there. I went through the graduate program in Krakow. So the 6 months was, it was called the ANCE program. So an Associate Network Consultant Engineer program. And again, like I say, it was 6 months, fully trained on all the security product portfolio, certifications, you name it. And yeah, now I'm doing what I love.
Hey, Kelvin. Kelvin.
Yeah.
Your new name is the Network Daniel's son. You was like molded for this, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't easy, but it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you've got that, if you're passionate about what you do, and I think Antonio mentioned, you're gonna find a way. It don't matter what way, you're gonna find a way into, the company that you want to work for or the job that you want to be doing. All you need to do is just keep digging away. I can't stress that enough. People give up because, companies turn them down because they say you've not got enough experience, or you ain't got a degree, or you ain't got this certification. Forget all that. Keep doing what you do, and you're gonna make it. Keep doing it.
Man, I could not agree anymore, especially if you want to get to Cisco. My journey was a journey. In 2012, nope, 2011, because I got hired in 2012. 2011, 2010, my bad. I want to go to Cisco. So I start applying. I applied for 20 jobs on the website that Kelvin was talking about. Legit 20. The first 15, I got an automatic response saying no. And I'm like, okay, well, all right, whatever. That could be anything. It could be I'm not, my resume didn't hit or they filled it. So there was 5 other jobs that that was left. The very first job I interviewed for was the worst interview in the history of interviews. I bombed it so bad because what Cisco will do is challenge you technically, mentally, and emotionally. So please remember, if you're going for Cisco, they're going to challenge you technically, mentally, and emotionally. The interview was so bad and it was a panel of like 7 people. It was so bad that we just started looking at each other. And one guy was like, well, I guess we know how this turned out. I left there and I said, at the time I was married, and I said to my wife, then I said, yo, I don't even know that I'm fit to be working at Verizon. That's how bad it was. And I was 3rd level at Verizon. I'm the man. So I was like, yo. So then same thing. The next job, I made it past the first interview, got to the second interview. The 3rd job, I made it a little further. When it was all said and done, I had 18 interviews before I got hired. Now, Kelvin touched on something. He said that you got to be, I'm going to paraphrase Kelvin. I don't want to misquote you, but you can't give up. That if that's where you want to work, you got to keep going. Most people that I know personally said, yo, Tone, I'm not doing 18 interviews. But that's how bad I wanted to be at Cisco. And the very last job, the one that I actually got, I interviewed 6 times, but it's one position. And the last interview, I told my ex-wife, I said, yo, I can't interview no more. Like, this is it. Whatever God you believe in, pray, because I can't go through this anymore, because it was so, again, they're going to see how much you can take. Rightfully so, because I was coming in as a blue badge, which meant that they wanted me to, I'm going to be permanent, but as a network consulting engineer, I'm going to be in front of customers. How can I handle the pressure? And there's specific people on interviews. I interview people for Cisco, and we have certain people that their whole job is to see how much, can you maintain your composure when somebody is not being nice?
Right.
Can you maintain your composure when somebody's challenging something that you're right about? How can you win them over when you're right? Are you going to be domineering and overbearing, or are you going to try to educate them on why you're right versus them not being right? Are you the type that's going to tell somebody that they're wrong versus, finding another way to say it? All of that matters. So the actual question, how do you get hired by Cisco? Number 1, apply and keep applying, and nobody's ever going to tell you to stop. So just keep doing it. Number 2, be real and be honest. That's what got me where I am, is when I said, you know what? Hey, man, I don't even know if I'm worthy to be here, but let me tell you why I want to be here.
Nice.
And it was, they asking me stuff I don't know. Oh, yeah, I don't know that. And here's what I would do to find that answer, though. I don't know it. Like, that don't even sound real, but let me tell you where I'm going to go to find that answer. And it was just being transparent and being honest, because one of the things that we also look for is culture. Can you fit into our culture? We don't want to know it all. The people that created the technology, the people that wrote the books, they're here. So, I will never measure up to Paul Giroux, but every time I see Paul, he wants to have a conversation with little old me. And it's because I can at least make you smile. if for nothing else. I'll make you smile. So, you know, be yourself, be confident in what you know, be humble in what you don't know, and just be honest and be real and smile and have fun. You know, it got to a point where I'm going through all of these interviews and I'm literally laughing. I'll never forget the guy that hired me he asked me something. I was like, whoa, I'm gonna have to go to Google for that. And he said, go to Google? I said, man, if you don't go to Google, how do you keep up with all of this? And he was like, nobody's ever said that in an interview. I was like, well, I can only be honest. And he's like, I like you.
Yeah, I like
you would fit right on in.
Yeah.
And I've been here for almost 7 years.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is, on the emotional part, is that when you're in an interview with Cisco, they might turn the heat up to 90 and see how you handle that.
110. 110. Like, I remember being sat in an interview with Meraki, and you know, the after the telephone interview, it was right. Come down to our site. We're then going to interview you for like 1.5 hours. So I was sat there. And it was no computer. There were two guys facing me. I'm nervous, still in my second year of university, trying to prove myself. Just a whiteboard, and then they look at my resume and they say, "Okay, you've got your CCENT at this point." I'm like, "Yeah." So these guys are then literally reeling everything off the confined with the CCNT, and you know, they're not necessarily looking for me to. They're not trying to trip me up. What they're looking for is to see how much I know, and they're looking for, as Antonio said, they want me to be honest with the things that I don't know. I mean, after that interview, I kind of, you know, I was thinking to myself, am I even technically capable of doing this? I mean, the interview turned out to be nearly 3 hours long. And at the end of the interview, I had a headache. It was just a technical interview. They went to wireless. I'd not even done wireless before. But, you know, all I would do, they're trying to push me, see how far I could go and see how honest I was going to be in my responses to the things that I didn't know. And that's all I was looking for. So it's not necessarily like people have got this perception of that everybody that works for Cisco knows everything. You know everything about technology. That is totally not true. You know, we don't know everything. You know, we know what we know, and for the things that we don't know, Cisco's culture is that, you know, we need to be honest about that. We need to approach situations the right way. And the things that we don't know, we'll definitely be able to find somebody within Cisco that does know that, and then come back to you with the right answer.
Facts.
Man, that's 100% right, Kelvin. And you know, it's a grind,
man.
You know, and both of y'all will find out once you get your CCIE number, it gets even worse, because now they assume that, you know everything, and then you got the people out there that their whole goal is to prove that they know more than the CCIE.
Yeah, you're working with the customer, and the customer want to know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you know, you guys, you know, it's, you know, working for Cisco carries a lot of, you know, it carries a big burden, but at the end of the day, if this is where you want to be, don't let nothing stop you. You know, just go back to the drawing board. If you don't get the position, go back to the drawing board and, you know, keep banging. That's what I did. 18 interviews later, here I go. You know, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Cool. Go ahead, bro.
I was going to say, I can promise you, working for Cisco has a lot of perks and advantages, not just traveling to Singapore, but a lot of perks and advantages, man. Trust me, y'all want to get here for real.
I feel you.
Cisco look after you, so it's definitely the place to be. I mean, I've got a big smile on my face. You know, it's nearly 1 o'clock. Nearly 1 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. I've got work in the morning. I'm happy. You know.
You know, I get to work from anywhere in the world I want to work from. Matter of fact, I should go to the UK so I can work with you, Kelvin, for a week and just kick it.
Yeah, I'm down.
And Cisco's cool with it. It is, you know, I have all the equipment in the world I could ever want. I ain't even put it together yet. The one I showed you, the picture of all the equipment. I got mad security equipment. I mean, brand new firewalls and switches and, you know, Cisco is a big playground, man. And the thing about Cisco, and last thing I'm gonna say is that we're big. Yes, we're big on culture, but we're big on innovation. We want you to be the best you that you can be. So we're big on collaborating, and you know, let's get some ideas popping, and let's figure out how we're gonna, you know, work better, play better, and live better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, thank y'all for that story, man. Y'all just made my mouth water thinking about working for Cisco.
Man, listen,
wait a minute, pause. My mouth ain't watering. You know, you just made me, you know, just kind of, you know what I mean.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you paused that. Hey, but you would be great for the culture. Me and Kelvin was already talking about that. Like your drive, your hunger, your smile, everything will fit right in, bro.
Like, and not only that, like, not like, forget about all the technical skills, all the soft skills, you know, your experience that you bring to the table. Perfect. You know, so I put that link in your description, so you need to be applying.
Okay. All right, I got y'all. But we got to get to these questions because I know people got other stuff to do tonight. But I'm glad y'all tuned in. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in. The next question on the list, and this is a question I'm posing because in my interview with David Bumble, please go check that out. It was a great interview. Shout out to David Bumble. At the end of the interview, and we kind of were offline talking, but I was talking about my experience. As you know, I've been in IT forever, and I've been in networking and the system admin side. But as far as being a network engineer, I never had a title. So I was saying, I still need more experience because now I got the title. He made a point that experience does not matter. What's your thoughts on that? Does experience matter?
Does experience matter? Experience does not matter. No.
Okay.
And here's why. Sometimes you don't know it until you do it. Yeah. I'm right now applying for a position that my last 3 managers and one of my leads said I'm perfect for, but I've never done it before. And like I told the people when I applied, I don't have the experience yet, but let me tell you what I do have. Let me tell you why I'll be perfect for this. So no, you don't have to have experience. You have to have hunger and drive.
Yeah, I can kind of second that. I'm gonna give the audience just one example of the experience I've had and why I don't really think experience is necessary to get to where you're going. And that is the first ever networking security engineering job that I got. I just finished university. I've not ever worked as a security engineer, let alone a network engineer before. And I seen this job resume, this job description of a network security engineer. The pay scale for what I was supposed to be getting coming out of university was slightly higher. And within the job description, they were listing things that I know I couldn't do. But that didn't hold me back. What I did is I applied for that job, got the interview over the telephone. I was as honest as I could be with the technical interview. I then came in and sat down for an interview and spoke to the guys some more. And it turned out that most of the stuff on the job description, they were willing to teach me anyway. The last 3 years of me being in university was pretty much all Cisco. Well, it was all Cisco. The company I was going to work for as a security engineer, it was everything but Cisco. There was Fortinet, there was Juniper, there was Checkpoint. There's a lot of Linux involved. Like, I got there and I was like, yo, where's Cisco? Like, I've been studying 3 years on Cisco equipment and I can't even touch a firewall. That's, Cisco ASA, and at the end of what I'm trying to say, at the end of the day, it didn't matter because I came in there without, I remember sat at my desk on the first day in front of 2 monitors, I'm getting all these tickets in. I'm like, whoa, am I suitable for this job? Can I do this job? But, I had people by the side of me that were more senior that was willing to invest the time in me because they saw something in me, and that was the passion, the drive. They knew I was capable of doing it before I was even doing it. And I showed that just throughout the interview. So I didn't have no experience, but I got there. And then from there, I've jumped to Cisco, you know. So you tell me, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's a great point, because I didn't have experience as a network engineer either when I started. But what you did was showed your value.
Right. Yo, on top of that, Kelvin, you said something that really caught my ear. I had to write it down. You didn't say it like this, but this is what I heard after you said it. You said you have never experienced where you're going.
Nah, that's it. I mean, for me, it's not a destination. This is a journey. This journey, when you embark on an IT career, whether it be network engineering, IT support, you've got to understand that this journey is never going to end. There's always going to be more certifications. There's always going to be new technologies coming out. There's always going to be different vendors. You know, there's always going to be new things introduced into IT. You know, like look at all the automation and orchestration that we've got coming along. It's a never-ending journey, never ending. So if you're willing, and if you know, it's like literally signing on that dotted line. As soon as you enter that job role, you're signing and saying, okay, I'm down to learn whatever I need, whenever I need to continue advancing. Because as soon as you stop learning, you're gonna start falling behind, and people are gonna be jumping over you to them positions that you should be getting, but you've just not got that passion no more. So it goes back to passion. You really need to be passionate about what you're doing.
Facts. Hey, another thing David Bumble said, just kind of wrap this up. He said, you can have 20 years experience, but that could be 1 year of experience 20 different times.
Yeah.
That's serious. That's
serious. I was like, oh, okay, I feel you. I got
never ended
for him after that.
And you know, real quick, man, think about this. This is how I conceptualize it. When you go to the hospital, you go to the ER, and you need surgery. The surgeon that's going to be working on you in that ER, you don't know if they've done this surgery a million times or never.
Right.
All you know is that they're called doctor.
Yeah.
So would you want the person that has done this particular surgery a million times? Of course. But at the end of the day, I know this. I didn't go to medical school, so I don't want to be the one operating. Right. Period. Right. You know, at least in what we're talking about. Yeah, you know, Tony was saying on the thing that, you know, he don't want to hire a CCIE without, you know, somebody being an expert experience. Yeah, true. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, you know, do you need experience to go to get to where you're trying to go? Absolutely not. You know, you do need that hunger, that drive, that passion. And, you know, there are some people without CCIEs that I would put up against a lot of CCIEs because, you know, they have that hunger, drive, and passion, and they read the book and they labbed it up and they did all the stuff that you got to do in order to get there. You know, being a CCIE is just a byproduct of the work that you've already put in. Right.
All right. So I believe that was a good topic right there. A good question. The next one, and this is for those that I guess are in the field right now and we got a new certification or graduated from college or whatever their situation may be. But the question is, at what point should you change jobs?
I can tell you at what point it was for me. When on a pay Friday, I was dreading Monday. It had nothing to do with the people I worked with. It had everything to do with the leadership that I was under and the fact that I couldn't grow under that leadership. So for me, I had to go. I think every person needs to understand what their goals are in life, not just from a work standpoint, but your goal in life. And if the job that you're doing, you're going to spend a quarter of your, a third of your day there. A minimum, a third of your day is going to be there. If you're not doing something that's going to get you to where you want to be in life, you really have to question yourself and ask, what are you doing and why are you doing it? Right. When that passion is gone, when that desire is gone, and when you're having more bad days than good. And again, for me, I love my bread. I love my money. I'm getting paid. And I'm like, yeah, that check. Oh, shit, Monday is 3 days away. And it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's true. I can relate. I mean, I've done a lot of jobs. I mean, whoa, yeah, I'm not even gonna start reeling them off, but yeah, I've done a lot of jobs where, you know, as Antonio was saying, you know, when not even Monday, when the next day comes, I've been like, man, I've got work again. Like, I've got to go through that again. You know, not enjoying my job, either working, you know, paycheck to paycheck, you know, getting paid, and then, you know, all the money's gone because you're not getting paid. You're not getting paid what you feel like you're valued. So
Right.
for me, they're big drivers, and the passion is massive. You know, I've done a lot of jobs that I've done just because it's a job, just to pay the bills, just to get by. You know, and I got sick of doing that, which is one of the reasons why I took myself to university, to get out of that vicious cycle, as I call it. You know, and then I finally found what I like doing. And you know, then even moving from the security engineer to Cisco, it wasn't necessarily the pay, it was where I wanted to be. You know, I knew in my mind that, you know, I'm not potentially going to hit a roadblock here at the company that I'm at, because my kind of mind was like, I'm always going to study, I'm always going to try better myself. But I knew from a company standpoint, you know, I want to be working at Cisco. I want to be working at these big companies with some of the best people in the world doing the best things. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there, you know. And I get paid well now. I'm enjoying life. I look forward to Monday. I look forward to every day. And don't get me wrong, some days are stressful. You know, some days are stressful with the customers. Some days are stressful working with the project managers, you know, but I still enjoy my job. And for me, that's a real satisfaction.
Yeah. It's super fulfilling when you have a job that you enjoy doing. I know for me, this is what I've been doing. Like, I was a network engineer, I believe, before I was a network engineer. I mean, it never really bothered me until I did my Cisco interview that I wasn't a network engineer. My boy Paul, who's on right now, he would always say, man, you're a CCNP. Why are you a system administrator? Why aren't you doing networking? It didn't bother me because I knew it was coming. I'm patient. Like, when you are what you are and you comfortable in your own skin, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Fact.
Cool.
You know,
go ahead, bro.
You know, not just you know, something that Kelvin has said, man. Just when that passion dies, question why you're doing anything in life. If it's a friendship, a relationship, or whatever, man. If you don't have that passion anymore, what are you doing? Life is precious, and we only get it once, you know. And honestly, there's not too many people left on this earth that's above the age of 120. So that ain't even a realistic goal that we're gonna be here 100 to 120. You know, I'm 41 going on 42. You know, I may have 30 to 40 years left.
Right.
What am I doing?
Man,
you gotta ask yourself that.
It's like Outcast. You need to get up, get out,
and get something. Don't let the days of your life pass by.
Yeah.
I mean, if you actually calculate, if you got a calculator right now and you calculated how many hours per week you worked to the, let's say, the amount of time you've got left in life for prediction, you know, half of that, probably more of that, is spent working. You know, so if you're not passionate and you're not enjoying what you're doing, then what are you doing?
Man.
Yeah. And the money will come. The money will come. You know, I took a pay cut to go to Cisco, but in 6.5 years of being there, you know, I've increased 21%. So, you know.
Let me hold some, Doc.
You got it. I got you.
All right. Next question on the list. Number 7. We got this one and one more, then we'll get to the audience. Thank everybody for tuning in tonight and rocking with us.
Yeah.
The next question is, what certifications should you focus on? Basically, what hot topics are there right now in networking, especially from a Cisco standpoint?
It depends on what you want to do. You know, some people, I don't even know how to answer that, to be honest with you, bro. It really truly depends on what your goals are, and what do you like. You know, I could have chose any track in the world to study for once I got to, you know, especially once I got to Cisco. But I like collaboration. I like voice. I like video over IP and voice over IP. So I did what I like, and it made it better. So now I chose a track that, just to see how I can challenge myself to learn something that I just don't know. You may not be you may find that you're not really all that much of a technical person, but you're more process driven, and that you know how to put people together and make connections. You may need to consider the PMP.
Right.
And, go down one of those routes, and they get paid bread. So, I mean, I don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose, yeah, definitely, I agree. It depends on your passion and where you want to go, what you're trying to achieve. I mean, I can speak from experience. I mean, I started off routing and switching background, which I believe for everybody that's trying to, be a network engineer, that is a foundation. It's always going to be the foundation. I then decided that not only because of the way the industry is at the moment with, there's literally a security shortage around the world, security engineers or cybersecurity professionals. So for me, I seen a gap in the market. And when I started working with security products, I was like, you know what, I actually like doing this. So I thought, gap in the market, I enjoy it, let me do it. So then I switched over to, if we're talking certifications, I then switched over to, the CCNA security, and I got that. But I still went back and did my CCNP routing and switching after my CCNA security, because I believe you always still need them foundations. And when you don't work on something, you quickly forget it. And, now, for the past year, I've been working on the CCI security track, because that is fundamentally my job now. This is what I do. I work with Cisco security products every day in, day out, and I work for Cisco. Let me get that CCIE security. But on top of that, outside of Cisco, man, for the past 6 months, I've been using Ansible. I've been using tools outside of Cisco. I've been using Ansible to make my life easier in deploying and standing up Cisco solutions. So, is there a certification for that? I'm not too sure, but I've took myself away and I've learned what I need to know to do my job. So I think moving forward, I think automation, orchestration, cloud security is embedded in everything we do now. So I think moving forward, they're definitely the areas that you need to look at. I definitely see it changing to more of a DevOps role rather than just a specific role that you do. Because as I said, as I said at the start of this live session, it's not only one thing that we do. You might think you're doing just security, or you might think that you're just doing routing and switching or collaboration, but you soon realize that you're doing a lot more than that. So there's definitely a whole lot more things that you need to look at. So if you're chasing the next big thing, then definitely automation, orchestration, cloud, them things are massive. If you're looking for what you want to do because you're passionate about what you do, then no one answer fits. It's what you're passionate about.
Kelvin, you said so much and I can't even keep up, but like serious, like we'd be here all day with what you just said. Salute, fam. Question. Thanks, question. You mentioned Ansible, and I wanted to ask you this, and I'm so glad you brought it up. So obviously you use Ansible, so you're using Linux. What made you choose Ansible over Python?
I'm going to be totally honest right now. So I did a Python course, and I just couldn't get my head around it. I did a full course, and I was just like, nah, I'm not getting it. Nah, just can't do it. Not me. then the heat got turned up, and I'm actually starting to look at how I can use these tools in my everyday job role to make my life easier and to deploy things a lot quicker. And then I come across Ansible, and one of my senior colleagues that showed me Ansible, and I kind of took myself away, and I was spending nights, midnight trying to learn this. And I realized, I thought, wait a minute, Ansible uses Python, it uses YAML, it uses JSON. I thought, whoa, now that I'm working under pressure, I can do it. You know what I mean? All this I learned by myself, just by searching the internet and just applying what I was seeing, testing it, running sample scripts. And then I took a step back and I realized that it must have been about 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to finish off this script. I thought, wait a minute, I'm actually making Python code here. Like 6 months ago, I didn't even know I couldn't do Python. I took a course and I was like, yo, this is me. Like, you know, and then, you know, I just thought, you know, like, whoa, I'm actually doing this now. So I think definitely you can learn anything when you put your mind to it. But for me, I come across that because I was not necessarily under pressure, but I needed a way to make my life easier and my job quicker. And Ansible for me just seemed like the perfect tool at the time. And then, yeah, when I started using Ansible, I started looking at Python because you can use Python, and then you've got JSON and, you know, YAML and everything else. So yeah, the rest is history.
So Cisco is okay with you running scripts. Like, this is what I found. Some people have a problem with being able to run scripts in their environment, because if you're new and you don't really know what you're doing, that script may take down the site, or you don't know what it would do. How do you get approval to have your management or senior network engineers be okay with you running those scripts?
Well, real quick, first off, you can mess up something just at the command line yourself. You don't need a script for that.
Agree.
But at last year's Cisco Live 2017, the CEO of Cisco, Chuck said that the network of the future, the network engineer of the future is going to be one that knows scripting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been my experience at Cisco. We care about how you get to the goal line. I mean, we care that you get to the goal line. How you get there, hey, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, I touched back on what Antonio said earlier about, you know, innovation, bringing innovation into the company. You know, there's a lot of things that Cisco run internally that encourage innovation. And this is what we look for. This is now part of the culture. And for me, when I was taking on Ansible, from not knowing it to actually using it to stand up data centers, you know, yes, I didn't just write a script and, you know, then go out and deploy it. You know, I had more senior guys that I could run this by, check it before, and make sure, you know, guys that were comfortable with using Ansible or comfortable with scripts, run it by, get their approval. I also had test environments where I could run this, because with Ansible, you don't necessarily have to push config straight to a device via SSH straight away. You can push a script or config locally. So you could test that script before you even run it in an environment. And then you can go through that script to make sure everything's fine. And, you know, in my situation, you know, when I was standing up data centers, the one necessarily, I deploy the config and then the environment's live straight away. Nobody does that. So you ain't got to run that risk. So you've then got chance to iron out the issues. So, you know, there might be subnets wrong, or there might be, you know, misconfigured SNMP string, maybe, you know, you just run that script again and redeploy, or just go back manually and do that, you know, because we have times where we might run through a network ready for use test, you know, to make sure that what we've done is ready before it's actually going live. So there's a lot more steps that we take than just running a script and turning around and walking away. There's a lot more to it than that.
Right.
And what you said was real key, Kelvin, that one of the things that you would let somebody senior look at that script and that you would test it. And that's with any deployment, anywhere that you go, you should always let, you know, that's what's called the peer review process. Let it be peer reviewed and run it in the lab as much and as often as you can to iron out the stuff before you do it live. So although there are risks with anything that we do out here, you know, in the networking industry, you can mitigate those risks as much as you can by doing exactly what Kelvin just said.
Yeah, because if you right click the wrong way,
fact. That's a fact.
You know, if you're a little bit, even if you're not using the script, you know, if you're on someone's live environment, I mean, normally they've got change control in place, so you can't just go on and make changes. You've got to go through a process which is then reviewed before you actually go and implement it. But even though you've been through a change process and you know what you're going to implement, you can still press enter before you're ready to press enter. Exactly. And pressing enter might just go and, you know, take BGP down. You know, it's not necessarily that you've put the wrong configurations in. You've just maybe done a typo or pressed enter too quick before you should. Yeah. You know, things like that. So it's always possible. It's just the nature of what we do.
Yes, sir. So is it safe to say, to kind of take this question to the next level, when we talked about what skills does a network engineer need to have, do you say learning automation is part of those skills that people should focus on right now?
Oh, heck yeah. Without question. Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, that sums it up. Whether you use Python, Ansible, however you get to your solution, just learning some type of network automation and scripting will put you ahead of a lot of people right now.
And real talk, like Kelvin said, I don't know if people picked up on it. He wanted to make his life easier.
Yeah.
This job is going to be tough enough and stressful enough. If you can find a way to make it easier for you and more manageable for you, your longevity in it is going to be so much more increased. So, yeah.
Yeah. And if you take something away from that, you know, it's all about working smarter, not harder. You know,
right.
You don't need to do that. Just find ways, find tools to make your life easier.
Yeah, facts. And document your process. Document everything. So that way, if you have to repeat it or you have to pass it along to someone else, you know, you don't have to take that time to fully explain everything. Just tell them, hey, here's the documentation. Check it out.
And touching on that, I mean, as you guys know, and some of the other Lab Everyday guys know that, you know, I've got my own website where I blog a lot of what I do. You know, I blog a lot of configurations. And part of that is because, you know, maybe I've done that and I want to document that, because maybe 1 year down the line, I might not exactly remember how I did it. So I can go back on my own website and it's all the information's there. So whether you document it on a website, on a blog, or if you're documenting it personally on OneNote, whatever you do, if it's a learning process, get it all written down in notes. It's your journal. It's your life.
It's your resume, your career. Too. It's your resume too.
Right.
It's cool. Cool, man. Hey, that was a dope conversation right there. All right, so the last question that we had before we hop on to those in the live stream, I thank everybody that's been rocking with us. We're going to get to our last question, then we're going to get to your questions. This question is physical equipment recommended for a certification study?
I answered that on Twitter a couple of days ago. The 14-year-old phenom had asked that question, and my thoughts may differ from a lot of people. And here's mine: unless you're going to be doing racking and stacking, and when you're doing racking and stacking, you need to know how to physically cable up stuff. Yes, but if you can get the knowledge that you need from virtual, fucking go virtual. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you know that you can do the commands and you know what they're doing and you know why you're doing it. That's what matters. If you can afford physical, sure. But you know, again, that comes with a huge footprint for the environment and in your electric bill every month. At the end of the day, do what you got to do to learn what you got to learn. I'm trying not to curse. I'm please. I don't care if it's physical or virtual. Just get the experience. Just get the knowledge.
Yeah. I think my opinion is slightly different, but I mean, to be honest, I started off with all virtual because before I worked for Cisco, I couldn't afford equipment. Like equipment, especially Cisco products, is expensive. Like you know, there's no other way to put it. It's expensive, you know. And to be totally honest, when you're studying certifications like the CCNA routing and switching, I totally agree 100% with Antonio. You don't need equipment. You know, it's all about learning the fundamentals, getting that knowledge, and applying that knowledge. And you can do that all virtually. Packet Tracer, GNS3, Viral, EvenG. We've got all the tools there to do it. And you know, with what you're using for the CCNA in terms of routers and switches, you're not using a lot of resources. So you don't even need a beefed up PC. You know, you just need enough to be able to, you know, do what you got to do. But where my opinion differs is that when I started actually working in front of equipment, I realized that, okay, when it comes to, let's say, for instance, an ICE server, an ice node. There's certain parts on there that need to be functional when you're installing. There's also so for instance, when I was deploying data centers in Singapore and everywhere else, being in front of that equipment for me makes a big difference, because I can then see how the equipment connects to a switch or a network tap or a IDS, IPS. I can see how it all works, and it's all good. It's all good being able to configure it, but just for me, having that visual effect there is so much different, and actually seeing the product, because 9 times out of 10 in this day and age, you're not going to see the product. You're always going to be working remotely from that device. Getting access to a data center is not something you're going to get every day. So when you get that opportunity to see the product, it definitely helps in my opinion. But yeah, 100% with Antonio. Just apply the fundamentals, get that knowledge, because at the end of the day, you're going to be on a graphical user interface or a web UI or some console configuring. That's it. You're not going to be in front of the equipment, 8 hours a day. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and Kelvin, you spot on again, bro. And that's not to say that having hardware physical experience isn't necessary. I mean, that's how I came up. I came up with building a rack of nothing but 2,500 routers, because I was studying. So there's a great value in it, but don't get caught up with saying you can only do one or the other. Get like Kelvin said before he got to Cisco, money was an issue. Man, go get it. Go get it. And he just put up a video too, if I'm not mistaken, on how to integrate physical and virtual, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, so definitely.
There's no excuse.
Yeah, there's no excuse. I mean, to be honest, you could go all the way through to CCNP with just virtual, environments and not physical. 100%. I'm going to be totally honest. The only reason why I've got a lot of the equipment that I've got now is because I'm with Cisco. It makes my life a whole lot easier because I'm at Cisco, so I can get the equipment, the tools that I need to do what I need to do. But if I want with Cisco, I'd still be probably working virtual, because I'm not going to be going out there and trying to purchase equipment for, £5,000 or more, because to me, it's just not feasible. I've got food to put on the table. I've got bills to pay. I've got to get by, and getting the equipment is not necessarily, my passion. It don't necessarily mean that I haven't got the passion to do it, but the expense is just a lot. And then, like Antonio said, the electric bill. When you start powering on this equipment, boy, that bill just goes up, and people start getting angry because this equipment's loud.
Very loud, and it gets hot. North Carolina is hot in the summertime, and if I got a rack full of stuff, man, and my motivation goes down because I'm already hot, I'm sweating, and I got to sit in here and listening to all this noise. I feel like a jet is outside. So, I mean, but and I'm with you, Kelvin. Like, there's no way I was going to spend the money that I actually to get everything that I got in order to get to where I was. There was no way I was going to be able to afford that and still buy training material. So, do what you got to do to get to where you got to go, man. What's your thoughts, D?
Hey, man, my lab is crazy right now. Like, I can't stop buying stuff. I can't, man. Like, I stopped buying J's and start buying equipment. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to get J's.
Oh, my God. You just pointed out something, though. You made the conscious sacrifice to look at what you were spending money on, the conscious decision to look at what you're spending money on, to redirect those funds to get to what you want. So when people tell me that they can't afford this, but then they're going and hanging out, they're eating out, I look at it like, oh, okay, that's what's up.
Fam, like, anybody that knew me before YouTube, my sneaker game was crazy. I mean, from Galaxies to J's, like, 1 through 13, I done had 1 through 13 probably 4 or 5 times. And when you look at how much I was spending and then how much I can get equipment or some books, man, I spend half that, and put the rest in the bank, and I'm good. And I done pretty much double my income in 3 years, just by studying on Cisco. So for me, whether it's virtual, whether it's physical, just get it.
Just get it. And you never stop buying stuff. Look, I just copped this the other day. I'm working on some
smart
stuff.
card reader.
Smart card reader. You know, I'm man. Hey, look, I'm trying to do some single sign-on stuff, and you know, I'm like, hey, $15. Hell, let's get it. You know? Why not?
Yeah, because you know my lab equipment is in my garage. It's been crazy hot, so I'm like, yo, I really don't want to go wireless because I don't have a controller. So I'm like, and plus I ain't trying to secure my wireless. So I went and copped the inline power. So I plug it into my outlet in the garage, plug it up. Then I go upstairs in my bedroom, anywhere in my house, plug up the other end, plug it into my laptop. I'm logging into my lab just like that, and I ain't got to run no cables or nothing. Easy.
Man, listen, easy work. And then when you start, I mean, I got phones everywhere.
That's the color joint. That's the color joint right there.
Hey, listen. Hey, I got equipment too. You know, I got phones everywhere.
See, y'all about to flex. Y'all work for Cisco. I can't even keep up with y'all.
I'm about to pull up the big switch.
Yeah.
We talking switches? We talking switches? I mean, you know, I got a little something. You ain't got this though, do you?
Are we standing up now? Do I need to stand up?
Hold on. I'll be back. I'm gonna get my hold up. Y'all ain't about to flex.
You know what I'm saying? What we talking about? Do I gotta go get my firewall? Oh, that's what we doing? That's what we doing? Okay.
I mean, I'm just gonna get a couple. I'm not gonna get too much for you guys, but I'll give you, you know, that's one ASA. I got two ASA.
Hey, your ASA ain't bigger than mine, no boy.
What you want me to get my 55?
Hold on. I ain't even took out the box yet. Hold on.
I got the wireless controller. The smart suite. I got it all. What do you need?
What are you talking about?
Yo, he pulled it out the box. Yo.
What we talking about?
I had the promo.
What we talking about? The
Hey,
55,
I can't even mess with that right there, boy. Y'all just went in.
I'm about to go pick my rack up, yeah.
But you know, it's all fun. It's all in love. It's all to get this.
Yes, sir. Facts.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Facts. Yo, that was fun right there. That was super fun. But hey, we're gonna get to these comments real quick. The questions in the comments. I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank Antonio. I thank the homie Kelvin. Man, look, this is needed for the community. And I appreciate y'all taking out the time to hop on YouTube and just share your journey, you know, share what it's like for working for Cisco, representing Cisco in a great fashion. I salute y'all.
Man, I appreciate you having us, man. And, you know, your forum is needed. You're needed in the community. And I appreciate Kelvin. Same thing for you, man. You guys are pushing the culture forward. I really appreciate you guys, and I admire you both.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, Dewan, thank you, man. I mean, the community that you put together it's awesome. It's massive, and especially I like to inspire, motivate, and help people. And you've given me and a lot of other people, as well as yourself, the platform to do that. You know, and even doing stuff like this, it's just awesome to be able to get together. You know, I'm in the UK, you guys in the US, we're speaking to people all around the world. And, you know, you've done that. You've brought us all together to do that. And, you know, Antonio, like the CCIE, man, that's what I'm coming for. You know, that's me. So
it's yours, there,
you know? Yeah, man. And seeing that you've got all that equipment, I'm going to have to stack up a little bit more now.
Hey, man, you know, I pulled a real smooth, you know, jack move, man. I told him what I needed, and you know, I made them. You hit on something that said that, you know, it's not a lot of security people out there that's doing Cisco security. You know, I use that to my advantage.
Hey, speaking of Cisco security, what's her name? Catherine. What's her name? Catherine.
Oh, Catherine McNamara.
Yo, yeah. Catherine McNamara. I had to shout her out, man. Her website, Network Node, network dad hyphen or whatever know, yo, she is a gem. Like, she is a cold woman. Salute to her, man.
Absolutely, man. I met her at Cisco Live. As a matter of fact, I'm not gonna lie, I stalked her at Cisco Live. No lie. And finally, she walked past me and I spoke. I said, "Hey, Kat," and she kind of looking like, "Well, how does he know me?" And finally, I was like, "Look, man, I'm not trying to be out here on no fanboy shit, but da 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 da." And literally, man, we had so much fun. We snuck into some area and was robbing them of t-shirts. Like, she's so cool and down to earth, man. It was crazy.
Yo, that's what's up. All right, let me get to some of these questions. I got my family Dale in the chat. Hey Dale, could you post some of these questions real quick so we can get them answered? And if you all have comments in the section or questions in the section, please post them. Feel free right now. I thank everybody for tuning in. We're gonna take this last 10-15 minutes to answer questions from the community. Yeah, yeah, her site does help with ICE. I guess we're gonna wait on these crickets from these comments. I'm gonna see if I can find some comments from the top though. If y'all see something, feel free to grab them.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got one? I got one right here.
Yeah, go. I've just seen them all come in. Yeah.
All right. Let me say, is it good to start as a contractor or go full time with as a direct hire with Cisco?
However you can get in the door.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I didn't intend on starting as a red badge as a contractor, but if it were a way for me to get into Cisco, then that's what I'd start as a pink badge or whatever other badge. As long as I were getting into Cisco, I'm doing it. So do whatever you can to get in Cisco. If that's where you want to be, do whatever you can.
And can you explain the badge system a little bit more, bro?
Yeah, so we have the concept of a red badge and a blue badge. So a blue badge is a permanent member of staff, and a red badge is a contractor that doesn't directly work for Cisco. So yeah, that's the two differences.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead. Let's see. I don't really see any questions. Maybe we answered everything. Y'all see anything?
Well, yeah, Tony just asked one.
Okay,
what's the best way to inspire? How can I give back? And what's the best way to give back? Tony, you're doing it already with what you're doing as far as the YouTube channel that you have. But Cisco itself is huge on giving back. They give us 40 hours a year that we could use to for community efforts. I think whatever you're passionate about, I was talking to Dewan earlier. Well, I just mentioned it to him earlier that one of the things I'm working on is the King I Rise Leadership and Networking Academy that I'm trying to have built. So take whatever drives you, whatever motivates you, and find somebody that's looking for it and do it. One of the things I do in the summertime, me and my children, we hit the areas that's really big with the homeless, and we give out food and water, and well, actually we quit giving food and started giving out gift cards, bus passes and gift cards, so that they can catch the bus to go get food. So just, if you have a passion for people, whatever you do to make somebody else's life better is giving back. Just my personal opinion.
Facts. And as far as giving back and inspiring people, just be you. Because if you focus on giving back and inspiring people, you're gonna lose yourself. That's one of the things as far as my journey with YouTube is I was so focused on making an impact that I didn't change or let me rephrase it. I was so focused on making a change in the community that I didn't change myself. So in order to really inspire and really help people, you really have to focus on you, where you want to go. And just by you grinding towards where you want to go, that's what's inspiring.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely. And give without expecting anything back. I think that's
key. That's key.
True. All right, there's another question. I think is for you, Kelvin. Thanks, Dale, for that one. He said, can you recommend something for labs? He's preparing for ICND too.
Yeah, so I think it's been a while since I did ICND too. But I mean, I guess what you could do is you could take away the official cert guide. Then what I used to do before I got access to the Network Academy was I used to do a chapter. Then at the end of the chapter, I put together a custom lab based on the information that was provided from the official cert guide. So yeah, I guess unless you've got access to the Network Academy where you can get access to all the labs, then it might be a little bit more difficult. I'm not too sure if they've got lab guides for the actual ICND2 now, but I do know for the CCNA securities and stuff, they've got lab guides that you can access as well. But yeah, I'd probably say number one, get access to Network Academy. It's got all the labs that you need to actually CCNA routing and switching.
Yeah, and in the link of the description, there's like 101 lab guide by Paul Brownie, and it's got great reviews. So that's 101 labs to prepare you for your CCNA. It's on Amazon or whatever. It's pretty good. And like he said, the Networking Academy has a lab guide for ICND2 or CCNA. So that's dope too. You got a question, Antonio?
I just saw two that was pretty dope, but I don't know what happened to them.
Somebody asked. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and I can see one from FlipGod. Thanks for tuning in. So we can see how important is it to get a college degree? Now, I think Dewan's answered this a few times. I think it's been answered a few times today. I mean, I speak by experience. For me, getting a degree, it totally changed my life around from what I was doing to where I'm at now. But I think it's not necessary to get to where you're going. Like, you can still get a job without a degree. You can still get a top network engineering job, security engineering job. You can still get it without a degree. You could just go through your certifications, get your certifications, get work experience. If you start from, desktop support, then work your way up. You can do it. You don't necessarily need a degree to do it. My degrees helped me get my foot in the door in many places, but when I actually think back about the degree and the structure of it, most of the work I did myself anyway. So all I had to really do is find out what topics were getting covered, and I could have gone away and done that degree myself without officially getting a piece of paper. So I don't think it's 100% necessary.
So to kind of piggyback that, Brave one said, do you need a degree to work for Cisco?
No, I got hired without one. I'm working on my degree right now. Well, I am in school, but it's not even necessary for what I do. But I came to Cisco with a lot of experience. I've been in the industry 24 years. I've been at Cisco for 6.5? What's that, 18 years? I came to Cisco with 18 years worth of experience though. But no, it's not necessary. What's necessary is what you know and the drive that you have to learn what you don't.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, CLI Soldier, what's up, fam? We got to get him on the channel too, man. We got the next time we do it, we need to get him on too, because he's a network engineer now. He helps a lot of people, and it'd be dope to have a family on, and Tony E. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of women in the chat too. I don't want to forget y'all. So it's gonna be going down. We're gonna do this more often.
It's a dope question from a woman on there, Kiara Malone.
Okay,
and,
what's the question?
How you all support and encourage women in technology? That's a great question. At Cisco, we are really big on inclusion and diversity, and we don't see color nor gender. There's another question that asks, has color ever been an issue in your progression? Where I'm not going to be naive and say that sexism and colorism does not exist, because it absolutely does. And people try to hinder people of color and women every day. But in this field, what speaks volumes versus the color of your skin or your gender. We don't see, at Cisco, we don't see color nor gender. And that's legit. What you know, regardless of male or female.
Yeah, we were just talking about Catherine McNamara.
Right.
There's women out here that's really doing their thing, and she's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to that, I mean, the color and stuff. I mean, Cisco is a very diverse company. You know, we've got many people from different backgrounds, different experiences, different races, different creeds. You know, Cisco is big on diversity. I mean, looking at me, you know, a lot of people judge me. Would they think I'm a network engineer? Would they think I do what I do? Would they think I work for Cisco? You know, look, I'm dressed now. You know, you don't think I'm an engineer, but you know, on Monday morning when I'm at a customer site, then whoa, you know, hats off, shirts on. You know, I'm looking the business. You know, and this is a thing about Cisco. You've got tattoos. You know, you look a certain way. It doesn't matter. Cisco respects everyone for the way that they are. It's what you bring to the table that makes a difference.
Fact.
True. As far as you know, color, and don't put limitations on yourself, especially ones you can't control. If one company tells you no, that wasn't the place for you.
Fact.
So I would say just focus on your skill, your craft, and getting where you want to be. Don't worry about anything else, because you will get there. Don't worry about, you know, why you're not getting to where you want to be, because it's all gonna work itself out if you keep grinding. That's how I feel about it.
That is a complete and total fact. I wouldn't be at Cisco right now if I would have let all the no's stop me.
Yes,
I wouldn't
sir.
be at CCIE if I let all the non-passes stop me. You know, I've already talked about how many times I didn't pass. All I needed was to pass once, though.
Yeah.
I think there's a question from DJ Rob. Is 45 years old too late to start?
That's a great question. That
no.
is a great question.
No.
Antonio, what's up, man? You over there? What's up?
Man, listen, I'm going on 42, and you know, for me, I mean, granted, I didn't start in my 40s, but it don't matter. I just started going back to school though when I turned 40. It's never too late for that. You know, I'm going.
Yeah. Did we lose him, bro?
And trust, it's a lot of us old guys out here, man. You know, it's a big network of us old guys. You know, tap in. We got you.
Yeah, you're not old, bro. You're not old at all, and he not old at 45. Now,
Right.
what I can say is you're gonna have to work harder than a lot of people.
That's a fact.
Like you can't be out here lazy. Not even gonna say lazy, but you can't take the approach of not being consistent at this every day. You're going to have to work at this every day because you got a lot of catching up to do in a shorter amount of time. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not even catching up because technology changes every day. So what I would suggest is maybe just learn the latest thing out. Don't worry about learning nothing old. Learn the hottest, newest technology, and you starting where everybody else starting, no matter where your age is at.
That's a fact.
That's true. That's true. So I can see another question. Can I get started without Cisco equipment?
Yeah, I think we covered that. You know, get it how you live, man. Do what you got to do. If you got to start with, you know, virtual, EVE-NG, packet tracer, you know, viral, GNS3, whatever, man. Just get started.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, Mark, who asked the question. I'm not sure when you tuned in, but yeah, we spoke about, we had a big discussion about equipment and no equipment. So you'll be able to catch that on a replay.
Yes. Hey, Letitia Carroll, for someone new, would you recommend jumping at opportunities to do some free work, such as mocking up church or neighborhood networks? Of course.
That's exactly what Dewan spoke of earlier. Yeah, absolutely. And again, get the experience however you can.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, that question there it's a very nice question, because you know you're trying to get the experience, but not only are you trying to get experience and help yourself, you're trying to help other people as well, and you're doing it for free. So to me, that's a win-win.
Agreed. You giving back and you helping and you learning. So that's what's up. Cool. Shout out to my boy Paul. Paul is an awesome dude. I used to work with Paul. Paul is really smart. You know, he knows script and PowerShell. He's a beast. So shout out to Paul. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. I think we'll take a couple more questions and then we're gonna wrap it up because I know my boy Kelvin gotta lay it down. It's late for him. So thanks, fam, for taking time out your sleep.
Yeah, really appreciate you, bro.
And matter of fact, you know, please go subscribe to his YouTube channel. The link is in this video description. It's all there. His website, check that out. I gotta put that in there too. Forgot about that. So that's my apologies, Kelvin. He's got a lot of great information. So
yeah, thanks,
here's a good question from I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, bro.
Here's a good question from Letitia again. How much of what you actually know applies to your job? You know, that's a tough one. That's a very good question.
So you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so it's on the one hand, you don't know enough, no matter what you know, because the technology is always changing. You don't know enough. On the other hand, you know, you got to be confident in what you know, and you got to be able to take all of it. It's kind of like a carpenter with a tool bag or a tool belt. You know, you're not going to use all the tools all the time, but you're guaranteed to use some of the tools all the time. So,
man, and you're not going to remember everything at that. So, like Kelvin with his website, you know, documenting it in some place where you can find and reference, you know, whatever technology or situation you got to work on.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've been on site and, you know, I've been tasked with, you know, a particular a task of doing something that I've done before, but I can't exactly remember how it went. So I know that sometimes I've got that information documented on my website. So I go back and I apply what I know again. And it's like, boom, yeah, you know, the information's there. And don't get me wrong, within Cisco and, you know, probably lots of other companies, you have internal systems where you can access, you know, this sort of information. But for me, you know, knowing that I've got the information based on what I've done already on my own website, you know, it's key.
Facts. Yo, shout out to my boy Zach at IT Career Questions. That's my man. Thanks for tuning in, Zach. Yeah,
for sure.
Yo, so it's getting late. I know Kelvin ready to lay it down. I want to thank everybody that's tuned into this live stream. This has been fun. I hope and pray that this was informational to you all. So please feel free to watch the replay, share it out, watch it again, please. Take notes, whatever you need to do. Support these brothers too. My boy Antonio on Twitter, his link is in the description. He'll give you his phone number. I ain't giving you my phone number, but he will. So no, I'm joking. Whatever we can do to help, we thank y'all for tuning in.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.